Three-time Grammy Award-winning jazz musician and composer Terri Lyne Carrington has been named a 2021 Jazz Master by the National Endowment for the Arts. She is with me today to talk about that prestigious award, her incredible career, and her new music. Say hello to my longtime friend, Terri Lyne Carrington.
It's all yours.
Hey everybody, Tanya Hart here. Welcome to Hollywood Live. My guest today, I have actually known her since she was about 8 years old. She was a child prodigy then. Well, now she's turned into a legend in her own time. And I'm talking about the one and only jazz master, Terri Lyne Carrington. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. I missed seeing you this summer, and it's been a couple of years probably.
Yep, it has.
Everybody's well?
Yes, family's good. Everybody's good.
Okay, good. Well, I have to let you know how proud I am of you. I mean, your accomplishments, it's not like everybody was surprised because I said you were a child prodigy, but what you have done for the world of music and the world of jazz has been phenomenal. And not too many people get to be a legend in their own time. And you're just really kind of getting started. Way to go. So we have no idea. But first, and congratulations and we're talking today because you've gotten this new award, and I may have to put my glasses on to read it correctly. The National Endowment for the Arts names Terri Lyne Carrington among the 2021 NEA Jazz Masters. Wow.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the people that have come before you are obviously stellar as well. But when you heard about this, because it's really quite a significant award and prize, what were your thoughts?
Well, what's interesting is I was the MD for their show for the last couple of years. So I spent so much time when we had to go virtual last year as the MD and trying to make the virtual concert as good as I could possibly make it, still, learning this new paradigm. And so when they called me shortly after that, I thought it was about, the show that we had just done, or them asking me about the show next year. And when they told me that I was chosen as a jazz master for next year, I was pretty shocked, because I felt like, maybe one day this could happen, but I didn't think it would happen this soon for sure. Mm-hmm. So, I was also thinking, well, I guess I lost the gig next year. I can't MD my own tribute.
That's kind of a nice problem to have, though. Think about it. That's not too bad.
Yeah, but it's been a great year actually because I have a new record out, and it seems like everything's happening during this pandemic for me, which is kind of the opposite of what's happening for a lot of people. So I'm extremely grateful for all the things that are happening, though I miss all the dinners and everything's virtual. So I had 2 honorary doctorates this year. I won 3. I won Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, and Group of the Year from Downbeat Magazine. And last year I got the Doris Duke Artist Award, which is a really big, prestigious award as well. So I'm grateful, completely grateful that this year, career-wise, has been so good in the midst of all the craziness.
I know. We have all been so blessed, Terri Lyne. I mean, it's almost amazing. It's almost like, if you think somewhat biblical, and God said the first shall be last and the last shall be first, we're stepping up to that first base there. A lot of Black folks have stepped up this year during the pandemic,
Yes.
So maybe it was just our turn anyway.
Yes, yes. And we'll get through November, and hopefully we have a new turn.
Yes. We will have a new turn, and it's coming right up. But in the meantime, you have, it's not surprising that you win this kind of an endowment and an honor, because you've done so much. I know you have created a master's program at Berklee College of Music, which is probably one of the hardest music schools to get into, if not on the planet, certainly in this country. And it's all about gender equality too, because I find it almost amazing that in 2013 you were the first female to win a Grammy for an instrumental jazz album. And I'm thinking, well, there are a lot of women that came before you that have done, but that was only 7 years ago. We've been
Right.
listening to jazz for 100 and some years.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
did that take so long? And I have to say this, I was glad because I was backstage when she won.
I
You know?
remember. I remember talking to you. I think you were the first person I talked to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yes, but well, I mean, why it's taking so long? I mean, I think it's patriarchy. Our slogan is jazz without patriarchy, and it's systemic oppression. We always speak about racial justice, but the phase I'm at in life right now, racial justice and gender justice come together, as well as our environmental justice, and all of these things intersect. And I think finally society's starting to see that. I've been kind of over the years mentored by my good friend Angela Davis, and she's been talking about these things for a long time, and basically the concept of no one's free until we all are. So when I look at jazz, the institution of jazz, and how it's been quite active with racial justice movements from the 60s on and
Mhm.
before, I wonder how this piece of the puzzle or how this ball got dropped. And I feel partially responsible. I feel like we've all dropped the ball, and it's really time to pick it up and say, a whole 50% almost of our population has not been able to contribute to this music, and there's something that's really not right about that. So what can we do? And mentorship and apprenticeship is super important, because you can't really develop in this music without playing with people that mentor you, people that are better than you. So many women haven't had those opportunities.
That's really probably the key right there. You're right. Because they don't think, I mean, and I look at someone like you chose the drum as your primary instrument. That's not an easy thing. And especially if you're a woman, that's really not an easy thing. How did you get into being a drummer? Let's just start right there for a minute, since it was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, I came from a musical family, and my dad, and he played saxophone, but he also played drums, and my grandfather played the drums. So I had it in the house, and there was a support system. And I
Mhm.
think many young women, and not just young women, but some young men too, but they don't get that same support and access to musicians. My father knew everybody, so he could just say, "Oh, my daughter plays. She keeps time. She's good. So give her a shot." And then because they knew him, they would trust him, and I had some opportunities because of that. And that's an anomaly for anybody. So I don't expect people to have the same background that I had, but I do recognize that because of these really beautiful mentoring opportunities that I had, that's a big part of my success now. And I was thinking about this actually yesterday. People like Wayne Shorter and Herbie Hancock, picking up the phone to call them and say, this is a great honor to join you as an NEA Jazz Master, recognizing that I really don't feel this would be possible for me right now if you hadn't, given me a shot when I was young.
It's so amazing. I have to do a shout out to your dad, Sonny Carrington, because he was a mentor to me as well. When I first came to Boston, and you were like the little girl, and I wasn't too much bigger, but I was, and Sonny took me by the wings. He said, "Oh no, this is the way you got to do it." So he helped all of us. He really did. So we always wish him and your mom very well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Really cute, adorable people, by the way. I have to say that. So,
Well, yeah, I'm lucky.
yeah, no, you are. And it's interesting because now as a professor and also a mom of a teenager, with this pandemic, how has that affected the way you operate and the way you teach? I'm just curious. Obviously, everybody's online, but with music, it's a very different, that's kind of difficult.
Yes. It's definitely a challenge, especially for ensembles, and there's no substitute for being in a room playing. But I'm, pretty like excited to see the engagement of students during this period, because we found other ways to address playing. We're recording ourselves, so many people are getting skills that they weren't used to using. We're putting music together for guest artists that are coming, and it's impressive. I mean, people are learning how to leave space. They're interpreting what's not there. Listening for what could be there.
Yeah.
Things they're developing their intuition in different ways. by recording by themselves and maybe hearing one person instead of the whole group that they're, playing to. It's really quite remarkable. And we're also able to study things more and more history, um, take deeper looks at, the problems, of gender in the music, but also just the history of the music and how jazz education is, it's good in one sense, but in another sense, it's been problematic too, because a lot of the people that created the music have, if you look at these school programs, are African Americans are almost non-existent
Yeah.
playing jazz. So there's a lot of things to look at that are social justice issues that are connected to the music.
I was just going to bring that up about the whole idea of our students, in Europe became big, and a lot of European schools have jazz programs, and we don't really see that here. And I'm just wondering, I know you've been such an inspiration to a lot of women in jazz, Esmeralda Spalding, for one thing, a lot of people like that are really, they've got their name out there now. But do you see are there any other female jazz drummers on the rise? I mean, I don't know of any, but maybe you do. I'm sure you do.
Sure. I mean, there are some for sure. And there's some that have been around for a minute. Um, Allison Miller, she's a great drummer. She plays, jazz and pop, and in a lot of different worlds. Of course, the person that I saw, the first other woman that I saw at Berkeley when I was a kid was Cindy Blackman.
Oh yeah.
And
Where is Cindy? Where is Cindy?
she's in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
uh She has a
Yeah.
new record out now, so she's quite active.
Oh,
And,
good.
yeah, also playing with her husband sometimes, Carlos Santana.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Yeah, and then there's a whole lot of Nikki Glaspie, some more in the R&B world, um, but there's a lot of Sherzette Tennant. There's a lot of young women that are playing. It's still not as prevalent as finding a woman pianist, of course, or of course vocalists. There's a lot of women vocalists, more and more horn players, and starting to be more and more bassists.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm loving it. I mean, I worked with a woman out here by the name of Nedra Wheeler. You probably know
I know
Nedra.
that. Mm-hmm.
Bassist. I mean, she kicks it. So you're right about that. There are a lot of women. In terms though of where you think this is all going in terms of us really lifting the music up again. We did a whole series earlier this summer about jazz and the importance of the music and the history of the music. We did quite an extensive thing right here at AURN. And I just getting your perspective on that. What do you see? Because you know what you said about people in the pandemic and the new ways that people are hearing things. It just makes me think, oh, when we come out of this, the music is probably going to change in some way.
Hmm. I see it changing for sure. It's been changing to me for a little bit of time, really since record labels had to sort of step aside and independent music became so popular, and it was a necessity, right? Because the business changed. And when musicians and artists became more independent, nobody was telling them what to do. So it's been a real fertile time to me, in jazz, because people are allowing themselves to, be more free with their thinking, and combining other music styles and genres with jazz, paying attention to, the music that they listened to when they were kids or growing up. So you see, a lot more R&B mixed with jazz. You see a lot more indie rock mixed with jazz, and of course classical music mixed with jazz, and then we've always had Afro-Cuban music, but there's also other South American styles mixed with jazz, and people bringing their own uh, ethnicity to the music in an interesting way.
Well, for Terri Lyne Carrington, who, a lot of people think that perhaps you have peaked at this point. I mean, you're a great professor. You've, created music programs. You've just gotten this National Endowment. But I know you well enough to know that that really is not the case. Not at all. Not at all. So what do you think? You got a new album out, and you know, after what do you think is next? What is it you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Well, let's see. Right now, I'm doing some interesting consulting work. Um, I'm a consultant, with the title music advisor and lead and producer for the Errol Garner project. Also for the History Makers, consulting with them.
Yeah.
And, both of those projects are legacy projects. I'm also the artistic director for the Carr Center in Detroit. And we have a lot of, different programming going on with streaming shows. We just recorded yesterday a concert that was in LA with Billy Childs and Patrice Rushen,
Oh,
the playing duo that will be streamed soon. And I did one with Daniela Perez duo. So we're doing this duo series in different locations. And we have one coming up with Ben Williams and Lisa Fisher.
oh,
So I'm having fun kind of producing and doing those kinds of things. And also, I'm looking forward to doing a large art exhibit focused on jazz and gender in Detroit with the Carr Center.
nice. And speaking of art, I'm loving that background behind you there. It looks like that might be President Obama with the mic.
Yeah, it looks like him to me too. Yes, yeah, some wishful thinking, some fond memories.
Oh, I know. I know. It was like, you know, I've been so glad to just see his face again and hear his voice as he has been, you know, stumping for Joe Biden. So it was like, oh, that wasn't even that long ago, people. Just remember greatness. It's coming back again, you
Right,
know. Got to
right.
remember greatness is alike. What would you say to young people, especially right now, Terri Lyne, who really are excited about music and probably have a little bit of talent, but at this point, I mean, everybody is kind of like, oh, you know, what do we do? What would you suggest to them?
Um, well, there's so many things to really focus on where your aptitude is with music. There's so many things online that you can that can help you figure out where your aptitude is. Whether it's just picking up an instrument and figuring out if you have an aptitude for that, and taking some online lessons. Uh, there's a lot you can do, I think, now online to prepare you for when we're out of this, and
Right.
when you can, go physically, places, have lessons, or to schools. I mean, we're not sure right now. I mean, it's the safest thing to me is to try to, figure out how to um, get what you need as best you can, with technology, and then move toward, uh, studying, outside of your home when we're through with this. But I think I'm really like finding all kinds of things online to look at, which is amazing. There's so many like, I'm a jazz drummer, but if I want to learn some gospel chops, like there's so many places I can go and learn some fills. So I'm kind of excited about the time that I have now to explore other things.
I know, you know what I discovered that you can actually do piano lessons online, you know, with the key. I was like, oh man, this is like amazing. It's probably been there for the longest time. I'm just now discovering it, but you know, but
Yeah,
you're
me
right about
too. Yeah, I'm always late to the party.
where have I been? But anyway, I'm excited about that myself. Well,
Me
darling,
too.
love you so much. Miss seeing you in person. I'm so proud of you, like I said, and congratulations. And can we tell people that this is kind of the award that you're getting isn't that a money prize too? Don't they give you some money?
Yes, they do. Yes, a $25,000 prize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What are you
right.
gonna do with your award? I know you're gonna give back to everybody you can.
Well, yeah, I hadn't really thought about it yet. I'm working on, some various projects. I finance all of my own records with, I have some help with an executive producer, but, otherwise I finance them. And so I'm always working on music and paying for it, just to get, because I think that's, why I'm going back to independent artists. Um, it's really important because I think my career took off once I took responsibility for it,
Mhm.
and I decided I don't need somebody else to give me permission to create art. I just need to have that desire. The first album I did that way. I was pulling in favors and spec time and, doing all the things you have to do. And, have really been independent since then, for the last, 15, at least 15 years or 20 years.
Probably, because I think that's when you were living in LA for a while. We used to
Mhm.
come by and yeah, probably. Well, good for you. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. I know it's great. And your music always just lifts it up. And tell everybody the name of the new album and we can get it online.
Okay, yes, it's a waiting game, and it's a double album. The first album is, produced tracks. The band of six people: Aaron Parks, Matthew Stevens, and myself started the band. Also have Morgan Guerin, Deb O'Ray, and Casa Overall in the band. But we all have guest artists too: Malcolm Jamal Warner, Rhapsody, Michelle Ndegeocello, Nicholas Payton, Maimouna Youssef. I know I'm missing some people. And then the second album was more of a free improv, like a jazz improv. And then a gentleman by the name of Edmar Cologne orchestrated to the improv. So it's two totally different albums.
Wow,
Yeah.
great. I cannot wait. Have you guys done any video at all with them that is available?
Yes, if people look it up, there's some videos for sure. For at least for the song "Bells" with Malcolm, and then "Trapped in the American Dream" with Casa Overall. Those are two rap or spoken word and rap songs. And then we have a lot of several clips of live video. Well, we did a Tiny Desk concert, which is a place I would really love to point people to. We're very proud to get a Tiny Desk, and
Oh,
it went
perfect.
well. Mhm.
Perfect. Well, we will look it up. We'll put everything we can on about it and continue to support you in all of your endeavors, and especially since you really are working so hard with young people and getting them to understand America's indigenous music,
There
jazz.
you go.
So
Well,
good to
thank
see you.
you.
Oh, my pleasure. Give the family my love. Tell them, I'll try to see them next year. Next in
Okay.
2021, we'll all be
We'll all be
back.
celebrating.
We'll all be celebrating.
We'll be, on the island and every place
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah, we sure will. So I'll see you there.
All right. Good to see you. Thank you, Tanya.